Don't do it, guys. Don't place trades based on what you see here. Please consult your own financial advisors and do your own due diligence. All right, with that said, let's go. It is Sunday, September 16th, and we're going to be talking about gold. That's right, gold. So I was really curious, and I went back and I did some calculations and estimations, and I was trying to figure out how is gold performing versus inflation versus the USD. Obviously, you can just pull up a graph and things like that, but I wanted to figure out, obviously, um, obviously it's outpacing inflation because it's priced in US dollars and the price has been increasing over the time period of US dollars. But I wanted to figure out um, whether it's not just outpacing the value of the dollar, but compared to the CPI, right? The yearly rate of consumers' goods and their increase in price. So what I did was I went back to about year 98 and I just added up all of the percentages. Okay, let me get like a blank screen here. Well, that's fine, whatever. And let me switch the scenes real quick, actually. There we go. Sorry about that. And what I did was I calculated the inflation rates and I added to each year of just what $1 would cost. And $1 in year 1999 would cost right now 1.65 or so. That's a 6. It would cost $1.65. Now, obviously, gold has gone up more than 1.65 times by year 2018. Now, I look back and gold's been overperforming the rate of the CPI for a long time. And so I was kind of dumbfounded though because I didn't know how to interpret this data. So on one side, you could say that gold outpaces inflation and is going to continue to outpace inflation because that's been the trend. Or you could say that, well, it's outpaced inflation for so long and is overshot inflation by so much that it needs to correct all the way down to like the fair rate of inflation. So you can interpret it in two ways, right? So if you take what the price of gold was back in 2000, which was like 300 or something dollars, and then you multiply it by 1.65, you get a number like 495. So is gold gonna correct to $500? Ah, I mean, probably not. But that's what this would suggest, and you might even overshoot on the downside if you take that theory. Or you just have it as a trend indicator and you just accept the fact that gold tends to outpace inflation by a large margin. Or there's could be all kinds of stuff. Obviously the CPI can be understated, and the figures are false. But because who says that gold is part of the CPI? It's not part of the CPI. First of all, it's not a considered consumer good, and they don't all increase or decrease at the same rate. Let's go back to window mode here. They don't all decrease and increase at the same rate. Obviously, if you take health insurance or housing or anything like that, it's been increasing far above the CPI per year. So it's kind of an average. But if you take that argument, if you think that housing prices are not going to correct to the fair inflation value, because if a house was worth $100,000 in 2000, then it would have to be worth $165,000 now, but we all know that's not true. It's worth a lot more. So either there's going to be a big correction, or we just have to accept that it increases at a rate greater than the CPI, greater than the rate of inflation, greater than the rate at which the US dollar loses value. If we're safe to make that assumption, and we assume a rate of increase that's greater than that, then this chart right here, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we should not be afraid of bottom. We should not be afraid. What that means is that this correction here towards the end is going to round up and is going to shoot back up. There might be a flush out, sure, but it's bound to go higher if we assume that. So no fear if you are into gold stuff like I am. Um, I'm obviously curious as to what's going to happen, and I have no problem with eating any kind of loss at this point. I've hedged myself, but I'm just, I'm just curious as to how things work. So I'm just trying to take a different perspective on it. You know, I'm trying to look at things in a different angle. Now, obviously, the portfolio hasn't moved. It's the weekend, it's Sunday, but it is going to move tomorrow, hopefully, one way or the other. Let's see here. I'm going to take a look at the gold and silver market, see what it's doing here on Sunday night. Oh, it's down, but it's almost flat. And what that means is it could be a positive day tomorrow. Flat to positive for the metals. We'll see what happens. Another thing you're really curious about is, Apple. Obviously, I have this put right here that I bought, and I want to see how Apple performs on Monday and what happens with those shares. People are praising their phones and stuff, and I haven't seen one negative article about them. It went down last Friday and petered down a little bit, so which gives me a little bit of a hope that it might have some type of correction down at 215, at which point I can collect some gains on my put that I've actually bought. I've pre-bought another put, as you may know from previous video. I explained that. I collected some profit on my first put, and now I bought a second one. It's the only put that I own. I have sold a bunch of other options. These are all options here that I've sold and I've collected premium, and I'm just waiting for them to either expire or execute. Um, if you have any questions about all of these, by the way, just let me know what you want to know more about. I have sold options on Cameco, put options, call options on EXK, put options on EXK2, Ford put, C-SPAN, Switch, SIG, Cameco, you. Um, so let me know if any of these names interest you and I can talk about it more. In fact, anything in the portfolio, as you can see here, all the symbols. If you want to, you can pause and pick a symbol that you want to know more about, and I'll tell you my rationale behind buying them and trading them and selling puts against it, or selling calls against them, or selling puts to acquire them. I'll tell you what I think about it and why I'm making the moves I'm making. In any case, I'm looking for this 33.5 to increase, and hopefully that happens on Monday. I may have some new fresh money that I can invest in here, so I gotta look for a trade idea. Been working hard, been working, so may need a fresh idea. Either that or I'm just gonna buy some more China, some Chinatown here. We'll see, we'll figure it out. Anyways, I'm looking forward to see how the metals and Apple perform on Monday. That's all the excitement I got for right now. Just a little perspective on gold and a little portfolio update, and that is it. All right, peace out.